missiles, the most destructive weapons in the world. From small wire-guided projectiles to the high-tech accuracy of the Apache cruise missile. Notorious for their surgical precision, they can be launched almost anywhere, at any time. Missile strike. Next.
The dominant weapon in land warfare since the Second World War has been the tank. Today, guided anti-tank missiles are the most serious challenge to tanks on a modern battlefield. Their shaped-charged warheads can bore through nearly a foot of steel armor. If they hit the tank's vulnerable ammunition, as we see here during a test firing, the results are catastrophic. Most contemporary anti-tank missiles use wire guidance. When the missile is fired, a thin wire, hardly thicker than a human hair, is spooled out behind it. The launch station automatically tracks the missile gunner keeps the launcher pointed at the target, and the guidance system in the launcher sends signals to the missile through the wire, which correct its trajectory. Anti-tank missiles come in different sizes, tailored to different missions. Medium anti-tank missiles are designed for the infantry. They must be easily portable. A good example is the American Dragon anti-tank missile, which can be carried by a single infantryman. In Europe, the Euro missile Milan is the preferred anti-tank weapon for infantry. It uses a two-man crew and has an effective range of 2 kilometers. The Milan can also be fitted with a mirror night sight, which enables it to be used at night as well as in daylight. The success of weapons like these and their Soviet counterparts has led to improvements in tank protection. Tanks now use chobham armor, or reactive armor, to protect against missiles. This has led to further improvements in the missiles, like tandem warheads, which can defeat reactive armor. The Swedish Bill missile uses another approach. Rather than attack the thick frontal armor of the tank, protected with layers of advanced armor and reactive armor, the Bill instead attacks the thin roof armor. It is programmed to fly over the tank, and when in the right spot, detonates its warhead downward with dramatic effect. Conditions on a possible European battlefield have led to other specialized approaches, such as the new Aerospatiale Eryx missile. Because of their speed, medium anti-tank missiles cannot be guided for the first few hundred meters of their flight, so they cannot be used at close ranges, such as in city fighting.
This is an urban combat missile, which can be fired from enclosed spaces. It leaves with a very slow speed, and its guidance system allows it to maneuver at short ranges. The infantryman can launch it while in towns without worrying about the backblast, like the type that would come from a high-speed missile.
Besides the portable medium-range missiles used by the infantry, there are also heavy, long-range anti-tank missiles. These missiles can hit with pinpoint accuracy at ranges over 3 miles. The best known of these is the American TOW missile. The TOW is mounted on armored vehicles and on helicopters. The TOW can also be fired from armored vehicles like the M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. In Europe, the counterpart of the TOW is the Euro missile HOT. As in the case of the TOW, it can be fired from both armored vehicles and helicopters. The The laser-guided Hellfire missile supplements wire-guided anti-tank missiles like the Torrent. The Hellfire was specifically designed for use from helicopters like the U.S. Army Apache. It is the most powerful anti-tank missile in service today and can hit targets over 6 miles away. The Hellfire is laser-guided. The Apache weapons operator aims a laser designator at the target, and the missile homes in on laser light reflecting off the target. Future generations of heavy anti-tank missiles will not need wire or laser guidance links, but will use advanced seekers which automatically home in on the target. Another unique guidance system being developed for anti-tank missiles is fiber optic guidance. The missile trails an optical fiber which conveys the video image from the camera in the nose of the missile back to the operator. The operator can actually see the same video image of the target seen by the missile. The operator can steer the missile into the target with great precision. This will permit the development of missiles which can strike targets at much greater ranges than now possible, perhaps as far as 30 miles away. These missiles could also be used to attack low-flying helicopters. There are 2 such missiles in development, the FOG-M in the United States and the Polyphem in France and Germany. Another way to attack land targets is with ballistic missile artillery. The United States Army's MLRS artillery rocket system can attack concentrations of tanks and other targets using small, scatterable bomblets. The new Army TACMS has greater range and a greater payload. Future versions of MLRS and TACMS will carry guided submunitions able to hunt out tanks with pinpoint accuracy. For a century, the traditional weapons of naval warfare have been the gun and the torpedo. But with the advent of miniature radar guidance seekers and advanced electronics, anti-ship missiles are joining the naval arsenal. Perhaps the most famous of these is the French Exocet. Weapons like the Exocet can be fired from surface ships, aircraft, or even submarines. Its American counterpart is the Harpoon. This type of anti-ship missile contains a small radar in its nose. After launch, they are programmed to skim over the sea at very low altitude so that enemy ship radars cannot detect them. Their radar seekers identify the target and steer the missile for precise impact. The sophisticated guidance in the Harpoon permits a wide range of tactics. The missile can be programmed to fly over or around obstructions like small islands. They can also be programmed to fly a false heading, luring their intended victim into thinking that they are aimed at a different target. At the last moment, they change their course. Submarines have traditionally relied on torpedoes to attack surface warships, but now they can also fire anti-ship missiles from underwater.
The main weapon to attack a surface ship is a torpedo. Increasingly now you're also seeing submarine-launched missiles, like the French Exocet, the American Harpoon. There are a variety of Russian missiles, SSN-7, SSN-3 to some extent, where the submarine can stand off at a greater
Its advantage resides essentially in the missile's capacity to avoid enemy defenses. It benefits from a high degree of stealth features, by an ability to defeat countermeasures, and finally, by supersonic speed. In fact, more than Mach 2.
Naval missiles can also be used to attack land targets. The U.S. Navy's Tomahawk cruise missile uses a special guidance system called TERCOM to seek out land targets. The missile's computer contains a map of the target area, and it compares the radar images of the terrain below it with the computer maps stored in its memory. This allows precise attacks against pinpoint targets miles inland. These targets can also be attacked with special submunition warheads, which scatter a large number of small bomblets over a wide target area.
These were supplied to the Afghan resistance, and they have been used, it appears, most effectively. According to U.S. government sources, no less than 68% of those fired have resulted in shot down Soviet airplanes or helicopters. In the June 1987 Soviet offensive in Paktia province, which is one of the areas where there's been the most intense fighting in Afghanistan, the Soviets have had to reduce the use of helicopter gunships, which up until now have been their primary offensive weapon in Afghanistan.
Mistral is a short-range infrared missile, about 7 kilometers in range. In our view, it is the most advanced system in the world today. It has been in service since the end of 1988. It is used by 6 countries, and we estimate 10 uses by 1990.
Another missile used in Afghanistan was the British Army's Javelin. The Javelin uses a different guidance system from the Stinger or the Mistral. The missile crewman places a small cursor over the target using a finger control, and the missile is automatically steered against the target. The British Army is currently developing an even more sophisticated successor to the Javelin called the Star Streak. A third approach in man-portable missile guidance is found in the Swedish RBS-70 missile. The RBS-70 operator directs an invisible laser beam against the enemy aircraft, and the missile rides along the beam into the target. To protect maneuver forces against aircraft, air defense missiles are mounted on tracked vehicles. The Chaparral is a medium-range missile system used by the U.S. Army. The missile itself is derived from the famous Sidewinder dogfighting missile. It uses infrared homing like the smaller Stinger. The U.S. Army is now developing a successor, the ADATS, as part of its Forward Area Air Defense Program. The ADATS uses new laser guidance technology. Modern attack helicopters are now employing infrared flares to confuse heat-seeking missiles. As is apparent here, they do not confuse a laser-guided missile. European armies have favored radar-guided missiles. The Crotal is used for air-base protection, and it has been widely exported. The German and French armies use the radar-guided Roland missile system. A senior Roland program engineer describes the current effort.
Roland système se trouve actuellement en fabrication de grande série.
The Roland is now in service with 10 countries, 3 of them in NATO. There are 540 launch systems and about 25,000 missiles in service today. It is an air defense system to protect against low and very low altitude aircraft. Originally, it was designed to escort mechanized formations, and its use has been extended to defend fixed sites, such as command posts and airfields. It is being modernized both for the French and German armies.
Pour les armées allemandes et françaises.
the role of missiles in modern armed forces has continued to grow. Missiles are now an essential ingredient in a whole range of modern weapons, including combat aircraft, warships, and armored vehicles. High-tech missiles give today's soldiers the critical combat edge on the battlefield.